And welcome back to another edition of Indiepocalypse Radio. I am increasingly thrown off of my rhythm in that I don't have my usual kind of like I should have just played the intro song just to get myself in the right mood, in the right headset. But whatever, I'm here. If I talk long enough, it'll all work out. But I have very exciting news. For like the first time in my life, I saw a truck. I don't know what you call it, like that, like can opener thing happened to a box truck on a bridge, and I was like, "Why is this? Are they doing road work in the middle of the week, like on like 1 p.m.?" And they were not. I got to see for once in real life the top of a box truck shredded off by a too low bridge that attempted to go underneath. But we are not here to talk about the excitement of shredded trucks. We are here to talk with our guests. We have a wide variety of guests today. This show, of course, being Indiepocalypse Radio, the halfway between the interview and con hangout a portion of Indiepocalypse, the monthly anthology of alternative games. I'm Andrew, the host. Now that we've got all the busy work out of the way, we have other people here who are adjacently related to Indiepocalypse. Mostly they just do their own thing, or one of them is adjacently related. The other one entirely does their own thing. We have again and reading Mike Migdal from Gutter. Hello.
Hello.
Glad to have you both here. A quick question. I say additionally related because if you watch for the scroll takes so long on this cover scroll. But Gannon did a cover for issue 7, if I remember correctly. Only 43 months ago.
Yeah. I was really proud of that one, and proud to you get like the art. I'm constantly like, oh my god, this new cover of Indiepocalypse is so sick. So It's cool to be among a lot of really cool artists that I like. No, I really love that one. That was really fun to do.
Yeah, I had just last week, just last Sunday, I was at the Boston Festival of Indie Games, and that cover was selling issues.
Whoa! Right on.
Let's go.
You're like
the people yearn for Gan art.
They do. Like I extremely like as a recipient of it. My instructions is very much like, hey, just write. Here's the thing I do: write the word Indiepocalypse on, then just do whatever you want. And I think that like creative freedom is how you get like such cool stuff. Of like, you don't have to like box people into like trying to make like a video game cover or something. The one I'm
the one I did was like, I've been wanting to like try and do this version of there's that short film in front of Empire Strikes Back where there's just like, it's like not a very good short film, but it's a sword and sorcery thing, and there's just like one shot of this scary looking bad guy with a cool chainmail thing, and it was like, here's my opportunity to draw that guy.
Yes.
Little way. So pretty cool.
That movie's on YouTube too. I watched it a couple months ago, and I remember thinking, this is not very good, but it is visually very cool.
Wait, what? No, what movie is that? Is that like what is it called?
Empire Strikes Back short film before. What is it called? It's got some really broad generic fantasy name.
Okay, and is it of like that kind of Black Angel? Is that it? No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Black Angel.
Actually, pretty cool name.
Very cool name.
Yes, and it's like it's got a. For some reason, in my mind I was imagining it was animated. Now I'm actually kind of like more. Even there's a kind of like local Boston theater show that transferred to online called Trash Night. That is like a beautiful celebration of kind of like trashy cinema. And this has like the costuming and set design of like a Trash Night staple.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, it's definitely in that context it would be terrific.
There's some interesting story about how it was made too, where they were like, hey, George Lucas, do you mind if we go to Scotland and like rent a horse for a bit and make this movie? I forget what it was, but just check out the wiki.
Yes, no, I might. I'm looking at this guy with the snake hat, and That is when I say they don't make them like they used to. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, no, that's a sweet hat.
But speaking of sweet hats, yeah, that's a passable transition. Gutter. If people are unfamiliar, how would you describe to them Gutter?
Yeah, I would say it's a comedy horror podcast. It's a narrative. We're using the tabletop system of Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green to tell a sort of story set in the present day about a post-disaster Pacific Northwest Washington area. Um, that in the wake of this disaster, this strange this strangeness is rising. These paranormal events start happening in these kind of unreachable areas of the state. So it's got some post-apocalyptic qualities, but it's very, it's scary, it's funny, and it's really, stupid in that beautiful way that we love to be.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Wait, how's that, Mike? Was that okay?
Yeah, no, that was perfect. It is truly just a vehicle for us to play and interact with all of the stuff that we're hyper fixated at when we are like figuring out our characters and what we want to bring to the table, and in a way that I feel like your tabletop role playing groups always do, and I feel like we've gotten pretty good at like just getting to the fun and telling interesting stories that get very silly and goofy.
Yes. No.
Great sound design by courtesy Casey Tony.
Yes.
One of the best in the game.
Yes, truly. Like, yeah, no. The thing most tabletop your average tabletop group does not have is intricate sound design. Usually, I don't know if people out there have like a soundboard on their game night and they're really cranking it up, but that is it's the kind of you're being in the actual play game for a while. Like, I feel like that landscape has changed where that's almost become in some ways like an expectation of like a certain kind of, it has a lot of sound design and like production on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. With the influence of Worlds Beyond Numbers, certainly it seems to set a higher standard, certainly for the non-live versions of these shows.
Right. These kind of like weird in between, like almost it's in some ways almost cut from the kind of semi improv like shows that are like obviously they're tabletop games are not scripted, but they're guided to some degree. They're not just hey, we just go make up bullshit at a table. I have nothing planned.
I was remembering when I did more like live improv and we would have like live piano accompaniment.
Yeah.
And how like the live piano accompaniment sort of like is a just another type of like sound design, but it's like pretty goofy and silly for the most part, because it's just like a guy who's like playing like three notes and like tickling the keys and whatnot. And I was thinking about like if we ever had cause to like like do the dialogue edit of a actual play episode and then like send it over to like a musician for like live, basically doing that piano, like live piano accompaniment after the fact. I feel like that's an untapped path of like audio editing after the fact.
Right. Because
that's cool.
Yeah, there is so much like even just like live. You think of like kind of like live scoring of a movie that some venues will put on, like that kind of. You can also like the musician can add this. They're like, it's like an extra character in a lot of ways.
Definitely,
especially as they're improvising. There's a film screening that happens down in Providence where they play this like truly warped, degrading, ever dying film strip of the Dunwich Horror, which is like not a great movie, but like it's falling apart. And it has like this weird like psychedelic band playing over top of the entire thing.
Oh, that sounds terrific.
It's like, and it's one of those things that's just truly sort of like, you cannot experience it literally anywhere but like once every 2 years in Providence, Rhode Island. But there is like a space for like, you know, not reinterpreting, but like adding to a work, like revisiting and like, oh, what is a fuller instrumentation of like our actual play turn out right. And
yeah, definitely.
There's a very cool idea for that. But so if you're a long time fan of the show, as I am, I'm curious in making a switch to like something like Delta Green, / Call of Cthulhu, or yes, Call. I always confuse Call and Trail sometimes.
Yeah,
they're very adjacent, but like slightly different systems.
Yeah.
Well, what about?
Why did we move on over to that system? Well, basically, I really like it.
Yes.
Is one thing. Also, we at the beginning of the creation of this show, actually, originally we were working with another person. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if I mentioned his name, but just for now, we were working with another person. He came to us with the idea of like a horror-based role-playing game, role-playing podcast, TTRPG, whatever. So jumping off of that, I was like, oh, we just did a Call of Cthulhu series, and I really like the Call of Cthulhu system. It allows you to do things really, really fast. Like, so we were doing Shadowrun. Shadowrun involves lots of D6s, which are fun to roll. It is fun to roll a huge handful of D6s, but it's very slow. So if I want to do like, my guy jumps from the top of this truck onto a little car. If you want to do something like really cool, Shadowrun gets really granular in like the math, which is all basic arithmetic, but when you are trying to solve 4 basic arithmetic problems very quickly, it can become very confusing. Call of Cthulhu, you can do these kinds of rolls pretty quickly, but the stakes are still high, et cetera, et cetera. So just from a little game mastery perspective, I liked the specificity you were able to get from quick rolls a lot. And that this individual was coming to us with the idea of a horror podcast that we would work on together, was like, well, of course, got to do Call of Cthulhu, because that's also one of the biggest systems. You know, it's like D&D, I don't know, Pathfinder, some Blades in the Dark. Call of Cthulhu is a huge, huge system. So it's like, well, that seems sort of like a solid place to jump off from. But of course, as we continue through the Call of Cthulhu system and Delta Green, picking up some Delta Green rules along the way, the main goal is to make it so totally keep what we love from it and excise anything that gets in the way of like a good performance or believability or whatever.
I think one thing that Gannon also promotes and that I think we all really love to do is like, in the moment, if someone has an idea and if they present it with enough like charisma, we can very easily be like, all right, instead of like normal Call of Cthulhu rules right now, we're going to like, I'll flip this water, and if it lands like on its base, then this happens or whatnot. And if there's enough like momentum behind that, I feel like we're very open to just like creating our own rules, just like out of pure like spontaneity and like whimsy, which Call of Cthulhu is, you know, it's not a whimsical system.
No.
But like whatever system we're gonna play is gonna become whimsical because like we're being cute and whatnot. But like Gannon, if you don't mind, I'm gonna just bring up the Russian roulette thing that happened.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
I was thinking of that immensely, constantly.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
One?
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, you know, but it was just for the listeners. Yeah. We had a very funny like in the moment determining how like Russian roulette would work in this game. And we got the funniest outcome twice. Two people ended up losing Russian roulette back to back in a way that was just like, there's no Russian roulette rules in Call of Cthulhu, but like spontaneously they can arise in any game.
Right. That's the strength of tabletop role playing is there's no computer that tells you can't do the thing you want to do. You're just like, oh, I just do it. Like you can just, the rules of the book the book is going to come up and like slap the dice out of your hand until you're doing it wrong. I mean,
yeah,
right. It's the game master gets to be the interpreter, and thus, like all things flow through that individual for what's doable.
Right, and often you want to encourage like that chaotic, final member of the table that is like dice rolls to like to do whatever they want to do as well, and not like pigeonhole them into their own into the very specificity of the rules like you would players. You want them
right. Yeah. Major advantage of role playing over computers. The imagination of everyone involved.
Right.
Creates a lot of possibilities.
Because I feel like even like digital, I haven't used very many digital kind of tabletop solutions here and there, other side of like just for them to roll dice, like as like complicated dice rollers.
We used to play on our old show Neo Scum. We would play blackjack within the universe, and that would involve like me pulling up my phone and going to like a blackjack website, and we would use it to play blackjack, but we would also use it to like make decisions in game.
Yeah.
Which the digital dice roller of blackjack, I guess, also exists as a honestly anything like Stumbled Upon could be a digital dice roller.
Right. Anything that you can't predetermine the outcome of.
Yeah.
Is ready there to like, provide you with that extra kind of like kick forward of like, okay, well, I know what I want to do, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it.
I'm imagining a long running like online TTRPG where you're using like FanDuel parlays to figure out like what your guy does. This would make, the horrible gambling industry more wholesome if there was like whimsical games that were being played using them.
It's such a I heard a podcast ad for gambling, and it's such a weird space where it's like I thought it was fake. I thought it was like a bit at first. Because it was like, hey, Ryan Cheech here with Chumba.com. And I'm like, that's a joke, right? Like this, but I'm like, I don't recognize this as someone putting on a voice. It does sound like Ryan Seacrest, and turns out it's just real. Gambling.
And you said it was called Chumba. Let me just bookmark that real quick. All right.
Well, it might be Chumbo. Something something equally fake sounding. That maybe is some gambler term that I don't know what that gambler. Maybe I don't know what it is.
Just a cute, fun name for gambling. It's cute. It's fun. It's something to do with the whole family.
Right. I just go in, I press the little slot machine, and it's the guys from my favorite show, and then I get 3 of them, and I get points.
It feels so nice.
And a lot of times there are 3 different guys, so I don't get points. So I have to keep rolling until I get my 3 favorite guys. But then when those 3 bears.
Dude.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like. Look, I've done a small amount of gambling in my life.
Yeah.
I would love to understand the appeal of a damn slot machine, because every time I've done a slot machine, it is so the symbols and numbers and the ways you get points are so, and I know it's intentionally like this, but are so esoteric and bizarre.
Yeah.
And also, I never have won at it, so that's also why But boy, I would love to understand how to enjoy that evil game.
I read this book. I think it was called like it's like a gambling addiction book. Sorry, I'm just checking something real quick.
No, that's fine.
Addiction by Design, Gambling in Las Vegas is what it was called. And they talk about like the advent of like video poker, but also I guess like slot machines. Like there is a sort of self-inflicted controlled burn that you experience when you play those games where you're like, I am like losing, but I am inflicting this losing on myself instead of like the world inflicting it on me.
Right.
So like
I could walk away, you know.
Yeah, you feel like you're in the driver's seat. And then I don't know if you've ever seen that one like GIF of all of those people just like tapping their screens over and over again.
Yeah, yes.
And like it gets used for like, you know, people will be like me, you know, when I'm doing something or other. I don't know. Yeah. But they like the UX of gambling is so like weaponized and just designed to make your brain feel like so good when you're pressing the little buttons.
Right. And I'm looking up to find the name of it right now. I got an album that is like an ambient slot machine music. It's just called slot machine music.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
It is
sounds so dope.
It's like an experimental ambient album that has like 3 recordings of just like slot machines going. And it is like just audio, which is like super hypnotic of just like this constant like churning and chiming going on. And this sort of like
you might have to drop a link in the chat. That sounds crazy.
That is like right up my alley.
I dropped it in the Twitch chat, but I can also drop in our secret private Discordy chat.
Terrific.
Because I'm a Bandcamp freak, so I'm like, let me find weird ambient recordings of like let me get punk music filtered through 17 different countries and see how they all interpret. Like,
personally, I want to play this album you just shared while playing Balatro with the in-game music off.
Yes.
Just so I can fully immerse myself in the Balatro hole that I have fallen into every day.
Just get yourself a giant plastic big gulp cup next to you, filled with coins.
Yeah. I'll just like light a cigarette like incense in the room.
Do they? Yeah, there's some loud slot machine. Hey, slot machine music, very loud, and like overpowering. Like it's just that kind of. It's like you become part of like the slot machine. It's what I think about like how you become part of your car when you drive it. You know.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I like
vehicle
that.
empathy, slot machine empathy.
Right. Like yourself fades away, and you and slot machine become one.
The joys and triumphs of the slot machine are yours, and their failures are yours as well.
It inhales your coins. It exhales less coins.
Yes, we're in this together. You and I, Mr. Slot. You and I, Breaking Bad slot machine. I will get my 3 Saul Goodmans, and then I will get all my coins. Or maybe I'll get like they have to be in separate corners. Yeah, whenever I've played a game, like a video game that uses like more complicated slot rules of like all the diagonals, I'm like, I don't know. I know you're supposed to. All the ones in the middle are supposed to be the same. Beyond that,
yeah, right. That's about it. Yeah.
There's very realistic to the point where I think they are legitimately actual slot machines in the Yakuza games.
Yes. No, I would not hold it past those.
I have such a hard time like getting through the Yakuza games because I will just like be like, all right, I've got 2 hours to play. And then I'll be like, I have advanced the plot 0, but I did play darts and slot machines for 2 hours.
All right. I successfully learned how to play Mahjong and Shogi.
That is admirable. That is where I have not, that's like the one thing I haven't done in the Yakuza games is like learn how to play Mahjong, unfortunately.
I kind of know, someone taught me, so I kind of know. Someone learned because of that and then taught me in real life a little, so I sort of know how to play Mahjong. I'm not good at it, but I kind of get it now.
I did learn how to run a hostess club from Yakuza, and right. I do that in real life now, but just kidding.
I mean, that's a good, there's not as many of them in the U.S., so it's like a good niche, you know?
Yeah, you know, that's going to be what saves this country.
Yes.
Mike's Chicago Hostess Club.
Here's how I'm fixing the country with my hostess club. You know,
just attach the right terms to it. How wholesome is your hostess club? Uh, how how did you hit the right? Is it like you know what you need for the U.S. is like a deconstructed hostess club. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not the hostess club master. I usually get like a third of the way through. I'm like, I have other things to do.
All I know is that you got to pick the right outfits that accentuate everyone's 5 personalities that they can have.
Yes.
Charming, funny, sexy. I forget the other 2, but whatever the rules are from Yakuza.
Those are the 3 important ones that we all emphasize.
Yeah. Then there's strange, and then there's scary. The last 2. The Spice Girl archetypes.
Are right? They're derived from the archetypal human stat sheet. Truly a min-maxed girl group for the ages. But
overpowered.
Yes, right. It's like the way you don't want to play because it's like, oh, everyone's too overly specialized. What if we just had some more fun here? But again, Mike, we're actually approaching the end of our 20-minute segment here.
My goodness.
Yes, it coasts by. Whenever people ask, like, what's the format of the show, I ask you what you do, and then the 20 minutes drifts away.
Well, we have riffed. Check out our show Gutter, but also check out Gambling.
Yes,
There's a lot of great gambling sites out there. Just get in there, mix it up, see what comes out on the other end. You might like what you see.
Tabletop role-playing game, a gateway drug into gambling. But before, I have 2 crucial questions that get asked on every show here. And the first one up is, what's your favorite type of rock?
Quartz, spiky, pretty.
Mine is yacht rock.
Now, what would you say is the archetypal art rock artist? As someone who's heard the term but never could pin that down.
Velvet Underground.
Okay.
Is that real, Gaten, or are you doing a bit?
Yeah, no, I think the Velvet Underground are like the Beatles for anything you might describe as art rock. Art rock can be very fluid. It can go between.
Oh, I'm looking for yacht.
Yacht. Oh, yacht. Oh, yes. Pardon me. No. Then the answer to that is, according to the HBO documentary, would be Steely Dan.
Okay.
I would say maybe Michael McDonald specifically. Yeah, it has sort of a yacht rock voice in my opinion.
Yeah,
a load-bearing yacht rock individual.
It's like how feathered is your hair?
Yes. Okay, perfect. Because I am slowly trying to narrow down the infinite. We were researching on this show a couple of weeks ago. Egg punk.
Oh God.
Because apparently a band I had was classified as egg punk, and I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah. Goofy punk guys that sound like Devo.
Yes, that's what my researcher, a friend of the show, Amy, was informing me that yes, Devo inspired weird old punk guys. But that's not follow-up question. Second question, an optional question, of course, or optionally answered. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
Not familiar, I'm afraid, so I must say no.
Yes.
I also do not comprehend the question.
So, of course, everyone knows Toho is a very long-running indie series out of Japan, primarily bullet hells, but with an open license for characters to be used in all contexts, but not always. Anyway, Toho is a very cool conceptual thing. It's like someone's like, what if we had IP, but we were cool about it?
Who is your favorite?
My favorite Toho is probably I'm very bad at favorites, but it exists somewhere in the Scarlet Devil Mansion. I'll tell you that much, because they're like the goth vampires of it all, with like crystal wings and things like that. But anyway, we are going to be going on break before we extend too long. Again, I'm like, thank you for where is my little? I'm looking. Oh, I was looking for my foobar. I found it. Thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We'll be back on the other half of about 1 minute and 58 seconds. Bye for now. you're catching the end of secret Toho talk during the chat. That was, of course, Midnight Ping Pong with what I can only approximate is a palpitation. Is a thing that does not translate easily, I don't think, and I would say my Chinese is rusty at best, or my Mandarin, so I cannot. And by rusty, I mean was not good ever, or functional. So I cannot. I cannot fully translate this off the top of my head. I can recognize these symbols, and I go, I trust you translating. Anyway, that's a lot of preamble, unnecessary preamble for back to the show. But we are back to the show with our next guest, whose work you might be familiar with if you were here during the pre-show from Headless Blood Idol and of course other collected works around the internet. Magenta Skull, how are you doing today?
Hey there, how's it going? Howdy.
Hi, doing fantastic. Well, long overdue for to be on the show proper.
Yeah, I'm glad that we followed up with that.
Yeah, there's a person, Amy, the previously mentioned, or I guess both guests previously mentioned, Geneva and Amy from 2 weeks ago, or other similar guests that exist within my brain, but in a way that they aren't on my thing that I instinctually go to oh yeah, I shouldn't invite them on the show.
Yeah, 100%.
It's hard to describe that brain space fully, But anyhow.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you on after, that thing was 2 years. If people are unfamiliar, how would you describe Headless Blood Idol?
So yeah, I'm glad I got to talk about this a whole bunch lately. So I'm pretty ready
got
for it.
You got your pitch
I got
prepped.
the spiel down. Yeah. So Headless Blood Idol is a community venue. We do shows of all different types of styles. No hard genre restriction. We do video shows every couple of months, and short sets 10 to 12 minutes. A lot of artists, so you can check out a bunch of new styles, but without getting bored.
Yes, no, it is a great kind of just community, you're the ideal version of the digital stage.
Yeah, we try to just showcase all sorts of types of stuff, and really we wanted to be there for people all different skill levels. We started during COVID when a lot of people couldn't play shows IRL anymore, but a lot of people didn't know how to play streaming shows or the shows online. So we wanted to just kind of make a place that everybody could kind of get together and either learn, or people who maybe they've been playing shows but they hadn't played in a while, etc. Just place where everybody could kind of get together and have fun and something to just look forward to and stuff.
Yeah, and that onboarding, welcoming people in is a crucial
yeah, for sure.
A super important part of art that I think social media erodes a little.
Yeah, we really want, because it's everybody is working really hard, and it's it's hard to do your own work, just pay your bills, live through life and stuff like that, and it's
right.
We just kind of wanted to make a place where you didn't have to worry about getting hype to get put on or whatever. You didn't have to know the right person, except for us, I guess. But
right.
you don't have to grind just to get popular enough that somebody would invite you to an event or whatever. We just do events, and if there's open slots, we're trying to have more people on.
Right, you're not checking someone's follower count beforehand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not high enough.
We kind of want to grab anybody from everywhere, because follower counts don't really mean a lot, and especially now everybody's on new social media. A lot of people don't know people. People are getting to know new people. And it's nice. I really we have a great blend of artists, and really just no genre style. It's just kind of whatever. We kind of created it just because when you do weird art that's not under the umbrella of a major genre label or whatever, it can be hard to find a place where you feel like you belong.
Yes.
So like I said, especially if you do like weird type of stuff. And
Yeah.
and so we just kind of really wanted to make a place where everybody could do different stuff and really feel like part of the group. And uh, like really we try to focus on not having like an in group or an out group or whatever.
Yes.
Like
Yeah. No, you are.
I love to platform the homies. I love to platform my friends and stuff. But really, I love when we get new people in, because it's like you don't want to just be platforming the same people over and over. Which it's great, and they're your friends and you love them and stuff like that. But you really want to expose people to new stuff and have new people on, or else you feel like you're just sort of getting like an in group, and you're just like only the people that know you already are getting the slots and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and then
So
and then people are feeling like the same thing of like, oh, I'm not even gonna bother
yeah.
because I don't know the right people.
Yeah, exactly. And
Or
like, oh,
like,
I'm not this style, so I might not fit here.
right?
We've
I don't
worked like
want.
really hard to try to make it to where anybody sitting at home, really doesn't, feel that thing of like, oh, I'm not like these artists here. I wouldn't fit in here. We want everybody to feel like they could, fit in.
Yes, no, you are, Magenta. You are 100% speaking my 110%
Yeah, absolutely.
speaking
Yeah.
my exact language of like how I think about things. How like it's part of the reason I don't even like talk too much about games and like especially
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because it's you're trying to big tent. Like
right,
games are the medium that people are choosing to think.
right,
But if you're just trying to like these, it's not everything is a game experience. It's just that's
yeah,
the medium that the art is on. But
like
yeah, yeah. So I
I
totally appreciate that.
and I never want people to like. It's also why like I don't. Yeah, that is definitely like the commingling of the art forms. I mean, that is this show right now. We have
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
I mean, you're all like game developers or game adjacent in some way,
yeah,
but uh, that's why like all the covers I have that like really strict like, hey, no game developers making covers. These.
yeah. And it works out really well. Just the art, like you said, it pops so much. It gets people. It turns heads.
Yeah, and like there is that I don't. I think because I think even it's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. Is like be better about complimenting games that I like or talking about games that I like. But
Yeah,
I have finite time, and I never want someone.
exactly. Yeah.
I never want someone to like see my feed and go, "Oh, I don't make games like that."
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, I would actually love your game, but like these are just the games I'm naturally drawn to." So it's like,
Yeah, I feel like that because I have a style of art and music that I like and stuff too. But I really make sure that I try to not be like only put on the stuff that I like,
right,
etc.
right,
Because that's just my taste. That's not what the audience's taste is, and I'm not trying to tell people what type of music to like and etc. So
yeah, and plenty of times I'm sure like your our social media character quote unquote version of ourselves
yeah,
that likes the certain things that we like um is like not it very rarely like defines the entirety of our taste.
yeah, yeah. You got to take steps to not feel reductive, even in like how you're like what you retweet and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, I often think of eternal friend of the show Bianca Del Mar, who does a lot of like like game and like wrestling posting, but is also like she'll
Yeah,
be on the pledge drive for like the experimental film section.
yeah.
Like there are parts of our personalities that are more just like social media ready, I guess.
Yeah, they're handles for our personalities, basically. Like
Right.
people can grasp these things. Like,
I'm not ready. Like, I need to get my engagement. I'm not going to get my
yeah,
engagement by going online talking about like, hey, so I've been watching the Chantal Ackerman set. Like,
yeah.
what?
I really found that a lot on Twitter more,
Yeah.
where I would have one account and I could talk about certain types of things, and then people wouldn't like the other types of things that I'd be talking about, and it would just it make me kind of grumpy because like I do like multiple types of stuff.
Right.
So eventually I got kind of more where I was doing a better job at curating, like just sharing all sorts of shit that I liked and not worrying about like if it made sense.
Yes. It's the kind of like cursed mentality of whenever I see the term like multi fandom,
Yeah,
and I go, wait, what is? It's not just life. Well,
yeah,
what
exactly.
is the
And
alternative?
And so, I mean, I ended up making like a separate account just so that I could like just retweet the fuck out of absolutely anything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like social media is a very weird way of interacting in general. It's like,
Yeah. It's like it's nice to share stuff, but you know, you can't like kind of have conversations
yeah,
to you feel like you know everybody's looking at like Discord's a way better place to like get to know people and like
right.
chat. But you know, social media is a great place to like bump into people, you know, like
Yes,
meet people
exactly.
just like you know, adjacent industries type of thing,
I
which is
always,
great.
I think it was like a great place to meet people, a terrible place to talk to people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to look at it.
It's
Yeah.
like it's the social equivalent of like, you know how like a friend sometimes will like really want you to ask them about something, so they like keep obliquely mentioning it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is social media how it works. This is we're all doing that all the time.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, I try to think about that. Like old Twitter, its function was basically to let like, you know, engineers and like people like that, venture capital type people, like talk about what they were working on so that other people could see it. And then venture
Right.
people would be like, oh, I should spend money on that.
Yeah,
So like even though we use it, you know, now differently and still for social media, that's largely a lot of what we're doing is being like, hey, check out the shit that I'm working on, you know, without being like, hey, you to every single person you know, look at this,
yes,
you know.
right, right,
Like
or
back in the day, we used to just send links to everybody. You just like open up your friends list and send your link to every fucking person.
right, yeah, the like kind of like direct
Yeah, exactly.
contact,
Yeah.
or just like
And it's funny that's kind of coming back again, you know?
yes,
It's like you send your friend a direct link, like you got something going on. Everybody's got so much shit going on, and a lot of your friends like want to check out the stuff that you're doing, but they kind of miss it with social media. So it's like it's a real good idea to just, you know, hit up your friend in their inbox and just be like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing in a week or whatever," you know?
yeah. People are going to websites again.
Yeah, I love that, you know? It's
Big,
like it stinks that so like social media really helped with, you know, back in the day all the artists had their own websites and everybody was, you know, everybody's viewers were like siloed, you know. Every artist had their own viewership and they brought them to their website and you know like you had affiliate people that you know shared links with and etc.
yeah,
But it's like you know everybody had their own site, you know, and so there was no crossover really very much between you know, like viewerships and stuff. And, you know, that was the great thing about social media is that everybody could like pool their people together. And so it's like, it's good that everybody is, you know, looking at that they need to run their own platform, you know, whatever it is, whether it's NeoCities or whatever, you know, you need to have some place that you control that's off of corporate media. You know, some place that's just your little soapbox that you can post whatever you want or post a link or you know what I'm saying.
right. A place that
Uh,
will not like it's not the whims of disappearing at a
yeah,
moment
absolutely.
because
You know,
some
you need to
deranged
control it. But then
billionaire
the
bought
same
it.
thing, it's negative at the same time because
Yeah,
we're all going back to our siloed, you know, infrastructures. All the artists are going back to not, you know, being teamed up. So, you know, I really
yeah,
say you if you have a website, you need to put a links page on it, put a friends
yes,
page on it, put a whatever. Just link to something that you like, that you love. Give the people that visit your website, you know, someplace else to go. You
yeah,
know,
because that's
human curation is where it's at. You know,
yeah, because
human curation is like where it's coming back.
that is that crucial part of like you know the quote unquote old web that I used a lot
Yeah,
personally of like
yeah, you know,
checking out
it's
other
like
people's links.
that was the thing that was kind of like back in the day with like before Google, you had to like hand submit your website to search engines. Like you had to go to Yahoo and you had to submit your website to them and go, "Hey, I have a website. Here's the link. Could you
Yeah,
add it to your directory?"
right.
And like, you know, that sucked because it was humans doing it and it made it take them 4 months to add your website to the Yahoo directory or whatever. But like it was a human curated list. Every single list, you know, every single one of the pages on those things was an actual live website that a human
Yeah,
ran.
there
So, you
there
know, it was bad that it took a long time to get updated, but it was a human curated index. So,
there is a one that came out kind of recently. I'm forgetting what the name of it is. I could and I'm like could I search for it? But we have too long of a chat log to search for.
yeah.
Um, with the person I was talking about it with. Oh, wait, or do I? No, never mind. We were talking about other things, but anyway, I think it's mostly out of Japan. But there was a site that it literally was that like a small kind of like contained
Oh
search,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
search engine sort of thing that you had to submit your website to. Oh,
yeah, I like that stuff.
oh no, this is a
Because
different thing.
people love to get down like rabbit holes and stuff. Like if
Yeah,
people love your stuff, if they're on your webpage, if you put a link to all the friends that you like, your peers, or even just like what websites you like to crawl around on, or like what tools you use, that is so helpful for people.
yeah,
Because
my
especially like we're used to thinking about people our own age and our own peers and like linking them to sites and stuff like that. But a lot of it is like kids and younger people, people in their 20s and stuff, getting to find out these things and discover and like dig in, and we try to do everything we can to try to give those people a place and like fun stuff to do, crawling around on the web, not just like scrolling social media.
yes, yeah, I feel like there's an undercurrent of like, the benefit, and I'm sure you see some of it too, of like art curation is you get to be you stay hip and cool forever because all the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah. You
cool
keep
young
talking to
people keep
people, you
bringing you
keep
their
new
stuff.
stuff. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I feel like that's a big thing that's been helpful for us, or big for us at Blood Idol, is that we got a lot of people interested in submitting stuff, but with all sorts of weird styles, and it's like I want to say we've all done a good job as a team, kind of curating these things and stuff like that, but also it's big shout out to our community. It's because
Yeah,
everybody there is really willing to check out this art. They're down for all sorts of ways that people can express themselves, and so because they're there, because they've got an appetite for it, it really allows it to flourish.
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it really allows people to see themselves there and have a good time, and
yeah.
just all that good stuff.
It's something I feel like people
And really a lot of it.
sorry,
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say I feel like it's something people start to realize, like one of the first of many deaths of Twitter was like, having 20,000 followers or whatever doesn't really like amount to that much. 100 like actually
Yeah.
interested people.
100 people that are paying attention to you and checking out what you're doing and replying is way better than 10,000 people that maybe
like
just look at stuff.
who are like, oh, because you post a meme or something, because you're like
Yeah.
you're like it's like the I feel like people
Like
are
just like
are
really
wa-
just all the
yeah. I feel like people are waking up to sort of like the reality of like becoming a poster, and that is a separate thing than becoming an artist who posts on social media.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And it's like just a quick thing to say is like everybody, like social media is good for sharing the things that you work on.
Yeah.
But if you spend all your time on social media, what are you working on?
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? All the time that you're spending on social media is a great way to share the fucking cool shit that you do. But if you spend all your time on social media instead of offline doing cool shit, then you don't have anything to share on it. So it's sort of like a trap.
Yeah.
It's like you need to be there to promote, but you honestly need to be the fuck off of there so that you're working on cool shit.
Right.
Like it's way better to just hop on every once in a while and be like, here's the thing I worked on, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah. Post something dumb or whatever, but then just sign off.
Right. Just like close the app, throw your phone across the room. You don't need it.
Yep.
Just
Start working on something. Just scribble on some bullshit.
Right, right. Just like kind of like get out there and get doing that shit, because it is right. It is so easy to like, and also think like that is the only way to, and very anecdotally, I released a new issue of Indiepocalypse, sold like I don't know, like 4 issues.
Yeah.
With that theoretical like, couple thousand people it reaches,
Yeah.
then I think it was like $70 in sales or something like that.
Yeah.
Then a couple of weeks later, I go to some events and I do almost like 2,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
At, like, local events.
And it's like it's just being in front of the right audience is just is so important. Yeah.
Right. Just like the thing I think of is like when people are online, especially on social media, they're like there for like literally everything.
Yeah.
It's you go there, you like pay bills, you buy things, you look at funny images, you do anything you can do, imagine you can do, you do online.
Yeah.
But like you go into like a show or like an event, or it's like, oh, you're just there for that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You're
You,
locked in.
you can't go to like your local gig in like a bar or a restaurant, then like also like, oh, I'm gonna go pick up some toilet paper real quick,
Yeah.
or see what's happening on my favorite meme. Like it's just not there. Like it's like a way of focusing and having like big long like online events like Headless Blood Idol is like
Yeah.
focuses people on things.
Yeah, and that's sort of why we do it too. Is as a secondary thing, it just gives people something positive to look forward to.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times when people are bumming, or maybe you're getting stuck in habits that like aren't that great. It's because you really just don't have that other thing that's in your life that you're looking forward to, and so that's been the nicest thing is hearing from people like, I I'm excited for the next show. It's on my calendar. Like I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
I can't. People working on their sets, people excited to see the new sets. It's just like something really nice that the community, everybody has something positive to, look forward to, something positive to like, orbit around basically.
Yeah, and it's very much like not like, oh, I'm making this thing and I'm going to throw it onto social media and hope it hits with somebody.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like that's our whole vibe is that we're all grouped up, like to post together like against the void.
Right.
Like it's like a whole bunch of artists, and basically the core is that you always have an easier time talking about how cool your friends as shit are.
Yeah.
Compared to it's hard to continually be like, look at my stuff, look at my stuff, look at my stuff, check out what I did, look at my stuff.
Yes.
It's draining.
Right.
Even
right.
if you're getting good feedback from it, it's still But when you're talking about the stuff that your friends did, you have like infinite reserves for that. You can talk about the cool shit that your friends do all fucking day long, and if somebody has shit to say about it, you're like, fuck you.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's sort of like we're all just sort of teamed up, and like basically that we can all have events together and share our art, but we can all share and try to promote together too.
Yeah, and that beauty of like shouting into the void together. It's like even if the void doesn't answer back, you've still got, hey, we've got all each other interested.
Yeah. And so that's sort of been like our whole vibe mostly.
Yes, no, it's a very cool vibe. I am very like, when we were talking when I was starting up the show, that was in the time where it was like that clip where they were drinking like that Airhead soda, I think it was.
Oh yeah, Good Sisters Danger set.
Yeah, and I had this secondary curse thought where I thought they were drinking through a pirouette. Which, like, thankfully they were not.
Yeah.
But like, now
it's already dangerous enough.
It is, and now I'm thinking like, what if you did drink a cursed Airhead soda through a pirouette? But that is extremely like that is such a perfectly emblematic like showcase of what goes on. Because it is like a huge range of just like.
Yeah, we try to do weird stuff, and I really because a lot of it's people who haven't done visuals before, or
right.
maybe they're learning and stuff like that. We kind of wanted that to be a just all range. We're really just I try to tell people like we aren't asking for perfection or anything. Nobody wants really to see the best looking. Like we're not trying to all make the best sets we possibly could ever make. We're just trying to have fun and do something neat,
Yeah,
like I always kind of people really they don't need something fantastic. They just kind of want something to look at that moves a little bit while they're listening to music.
Yeah.
And so I always joke that like somebody could just record their lawn. They could probably just record grass for like 10 minutes and use that for their video.
Yes.
And the viewers would be like, yeah, grass.
You're preaching to someone.
So more or less, I'm always like daring people to just turn in a 10 minutes of grass for their set.
Yes.
But so far, nobody has taken me up. But
they should.
I'm telling you, it would work. It would play. So
yeah, you're talking to like if you're talking to someone who was on the same year I had that I played Wavelength.
Yeah.
Of like, and I think people are like way more open to just like non-standard like experimental
Yeah,
stuff, then
they just want to see cool stuff. And like some of the best sets, the most creative sets we get, aren't the ones that they're using, like they're like a master of touch designer or whatever.
right.
It's like they recorded some cool fucking video in like their basement with their phone camera,
Yeah.
and turned it into something nice. There was somebody that did like live effects by like shining a light onto some like reflective, like shiny paper and stuff like that, and using it for their effects.
Yeah, like what?
There was somebody who their whole set was just screen capping browser windows, up and down and stuff like that, minimizing, maximizing, and it came
Yes.
out so good.
Right. It's one of those things where like 60 years or whatever later, people still think about like the shags,
Yeah.
Yeah, people
And
are.
then that I'm trying to like so many of these shows that you go see, it's like be there or you don't see it.
Yes.
There's maybe a VOD for 2 days if there's a VOD. And then it was like they're really trying to sell the like, oh, this was an exclusive event. You had to be there, you had to be cool enough to see it and whatever. But one thing you learn when you're an organizer is that there is no perfect time to have an event.
Right,
with
right.
the world's time zones and even with the USA's time zones.
Yes.
There's no perfect time to have an event.
I had
Like
to
by the
organize.
time it's
Yeah.
right in East Coast, it's too early in West Coast. Right time in West Coast is way too fucking late for East Coast.
Yes, I had to organize for the Hand Eye Society. I organized like a panel about like
Oh man, yeah,
anthologies, and that it was pre-recorded, fortunately, so we didn't have to then
yeah, that's nice.
figure out how to fit into their schedule. But it was like.
But yeah,
It
you
was like-
just try to have there's no perfect time to do an event.
Yeah,
So we make sure that we get all of the recordings up on the website.
Yeah.
We try to so that you can watch it, you can download it, and it's like so we work a little bit harder to maybe make a little bit better quality video product. We're trying to make really nice tapes instead of just like like maybe just like a regular concert VOD. Like we want to make something high quality that you
Yeah.
can download, that you can watch again, that you can share, put on your Plex or whatever, watch in 10 years, whatever,
Right.
But we just want it to be able to, you have it and take it home and make it's a nice little product,
Have
nice
it-
little
yeah,
thing
something-
for you to have.
something that is like archival, because
Exactly. Yeah.
you
Because
never know like
all the
who's
work
gonna
is so
like,
fucking good. Yeah.
you never know who's
exactly,
gonna
yeah.
find it one day and be like, oh, whoa, what is this?
Exactly,
And
yeah.
just like changes their whole brain.
Yeah, so it's like just being able to save these forever, it's
Yeah.
real nice. And then just like what you're saying with the art on the stuff, love having the great posters, and it tickles me, it makes me feel so good when
Yes.
it's like artists that are new and they've maybe never seen their name on a poster, they've never seen that event, but they can take it home and look at it, and it's like I know how much that stuff means to me.
Yeah.
Even now as I get older, looking back on some shit that I did 20 years ago, it's like I remember that I did that and it feels good and stuff, but looking at the poster and being like, oh yeah, I did do that shit. Here was
Yeah,
some stuff I
that's-
did, that
it's-
feels so good. So
It's an underestimated thing that like someone like like a Headless Blood Isles their
Yeah.
first show, and then it's a thing they can put on their website.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to give because everybody is working so hard.
Right.
They work real hard on everything they do, and we want people to be able to see it.
Right. And
Forever,
it goes-
basically.
It goes so much further than like, what do you put like? Oh, this post got 1,000 retweets. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's like no,
And
I
so,
was in,
like,
I was selected for this show.
Yeah, and it's like we have 20 concerts now. We just put out our 20th concert, and
Yeah.
we platformed about over 100 artists since we started in 2021.
Yeah.
And we run a what's it called, our website. We've got a radio station going 24/7. Also, in case you get bored, you got stuff to listen to.
Yes. Yeah. No, you've got a lot. I am.
But I just got a shout out real quick.
Yes.
We got a sticker club. Then they're what helps pay for all of our
I
stuff.
am
It's really
literally
nice.
on
The
your
community
coffee looking
funds.
at the sticker club right now.
Nice, yeah. It's I can't believe that the math works. It like we do it for super cheap. It's only $6 a month.
Yeah.
But it lets us still send out stickers, every quarter and stuff like that. I'm kind of amazed that it works,
Yeah. No.
But yeah, it covers bill. Like thankfully it all works because they don't take a fucking payment processor. Everybody else takes the dollar, and
Yes,
so
no, I-
automatically right there, it's like if we only charge $6, so the payment processors take such a bite out of it,
Yeah, I very recently redid a spreadsheet, and for the first few years, I was not taking out any like payment processing fees or anything. So I was probably losing even more money. Than
Oh
I thought I was.
yeah.
But clearly we could talk forever on this. But
yeah.
we are reaching the end of our segment, so you've had time for the prep for these two questions.
All right.
You saw the two possible options for the first question.
Yeah.
So Magenta, I need to ask you, what's your favorite type of rock?
I gotta go with like granite, something like that.
Yes. Nice, functional.
yeah. Good bedrock to build a house on it.
And follow up, do you have a favorite Toho?
I don't, but I'm gonna imagine there's probably one with like blue hair. If there's one that rocks a knife, that one's for me.
So let me tell you, we don't have time to get into the Scarlet Devil mentioned. Sakuya, she's a maid that throws knives and stops time.
Yeah. There we go. That's good.
Scarlet Devil Mansion delivers. But anyway, thank you for joining me here today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you back on. Just hanging out, and then on
totally
a canonical version on the show proper. Because I don't think I ever archive.
I'm actually recording it this time. Last time people were like, "Hey, did you record it?" And I was like, "I forgot that part."
I don't remember. I think it's just that like I'm like that's like an 8-hour thing. I'm like I'm not gonna. I recorded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think there was once I recorded. Like I think I sometimes record the Cassidy shout out to the Bad Game Hall of Fame segments because those were like planned out segments that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm like, I don't. Also, those were segments that were not 90% someone else's video. But anyway, we're going on a break.
Well, yeah. Have me on anytime.
Yes. I maintain an open door policy. People are always welcome. But we are going to go on break for about 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Goodbye for now, everyone. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Mizirja with Lance C. We are back with our final guest. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. We are back with our final guest of the show, who you may know. I've fallen into my comfortable rhythm. So you may know from issue 58 of Indiepocalypse with Scribe OS. It's Milo. Milo, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing fantastic. So now I get the comfort of this question, my informal marketing question, which is, hey, how'd you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Well, so it was 2022. I was up at the Champlain Sci-Fi Fantasy Expo.
Oh, okay.
Burlington.
Yes.
And I was tabling for a different group that I was working with at the time, and on one of my breaks from that, I was walking around the hall and I saw this little table.
Yes.
And I think I swung by and was there for maybe 5 minutes. And then promptly forgot about the whole interaction until 2 years later when I had made this game and I was like, this is a game that I can never put out anywhere.
Right.
What am I ever going to do with it? And then the synapses fired.
You're like, oh, that thing, that home of the unmarketable, as I call it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is like, people can describe. You can describe ScribeOS in a second, but it is something that is like I have aspirations for like a gallery space version of Indiepocalypse, and that is like something delivered to me on a silver platter of. Because I want it to be this interactive the game in the physical space and interpreting parts of the game within the physical space, and ScribeOS lends itself almost entirely to that. Because how would you describe it to people who are unfamiliar?
Yeah, so this is something I've also struggled with.
Yes, no, I I do a
Um,
lot of events and people are like, what's this game? I go, it's
yeah. So the way that I've best found to describe it is
Yeah.
that Scribe is a digitally facilitated LARP, um, where like the game really takes place in the physical space of the two people who are playing the game. It's a two-player game where both players have a computer and they're playing the game separately on their own computers, but also interacting with each other in physical space.
yeah, right, and
So the computer and the program, it's really just there to like help the players, not
yes,
be the game.
right. It's like a video game, but it's a video game that's lying to you in a way.
Yeah,
That like presented as a connected game, but obviously, I mean, unless you're like, if you have like a little bit of tech literacy, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. How these computers can't actually be connected to each other. But
yeah, no, it's a lot of my background is in LARP and tabletop,
yeah,
and so it's a lot of what I was thinking of when I was making this game is like, how can I use the expertise that I like have, the things that I've learned from making these other forms of game, and how can I bring them into video game and sort of build everything together. Take the best parts of all of them.
right, and I think it works really effectively in doing that. Because like it's the grand illusion of like LARP and tabletop in that it's fake, but it just fades away. Like
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter that it's not actually like you're not actually doing like a version of the game that where it's like technically a network thing isn't any better than the version that exists, if not like a little worse. Because then
it doesn't matter if the computers are actually doing what they say they're doing, as long as you feel like they are.
Exactly. It turns out a lot of art is stuff that's not real.
Yeah.
And then I think that's like now I'm curious. Do you remember what was the game you were at that Champlain festival with, or like what were you there with?
I was with a group doing I was with a program that basically was doing like running D&D campaigns for kids. And so it was not like it was a program that I wasn't a major part of, but I had like been tangential to. And I was helping out because I was close friends with a lot of other people who were at that.
Yeah, because I had been up and down that whole Burlington area a couple times.
Yeah.
I went even before Indiepocalypse. I went to showing off my own games at like a Halloween. Thing in Burlington they had. I've gone to like the Loaf once or twice maybe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm at school around there.
Yes,
so that's my current stomping grounds.
I don't know if they're still ongoing, or if the Loaf has.
Oh, Loaf is still going.
Okay, cool. Yes, no, I'm always excited to like know that like local events are still thriving because they're like local events, the lifeblood of like art scenes.
Yeah. And Burlington's actually a really great place for that kind of stuff. There's a lot of, I'm close friends with my current roommate is in the punk scene, and so I go to a lot of those shows.
Yeah,
like Burlington's a great place for all those, and it's all about the little community and towns that are of that size.
It is. It's a great thing. It's like Burlington is a like great and also a cursed thing where it's like I can drive to it, but not I have to stay up there kind of thing, Where it's like, yeah, it's close enough that I can. It is a feasible drive, but to do anything, I have to, spend one night there.
Yeah.
But it is. But otherwise, hey, New England's got some cool towns in it too.
Yeah.
So it's a cool like vibe, and I think it's nice that having a local scene lets you develop like a local vibe, which I think is a crucial part of like arts,
Oh yeah.
Of like what is this city's flavor? What is the aesthetic here? But so
Burlington's
yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, go on. I'll
I was
follow
just,
up to whatever.
I was just talking. Who knows? I was just talking. When I do this thing, I've I've done this 171 times.
Oh yeah.
My brain has just got good at just filling silence with noise.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is that I grew up in New York City, and so the transition from a place like New York to a place like Burlington is, not it's not a small shift.
Right.
The
Yes.
the
No.
way that the way the community has to work differently between the two places is pretty wild.
Right. Right. You don't have the same like immense number of venues, or just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
just number of bodies, like physical
Yeah.
of people that can like participate or attend. So you get like you're like, oh, where's my local VA hall,
Yeah, exactly.
and how can we convince them to let us host a show there? Or it's just like like basement shows,
Yeah.
or finding a ways to like. I mean, that's the benefit of like college towns, though. Is sometimes you can wrangle that good college space.
Yeah, I'll say being up in Burlington is a lot less intimidating to find those places
Right. If you
because
were,
at least you know that like I'll end up somewhere. If
yeah,
I'm going around New York, there's any number of places I could be.
right, and that's sometimes there's that benefit of, like having more limited choices,
Yeah,
where you're like, oh yeah, we don't have to worry. It's that social media problem where everyone is fighting for the tiny scraps of space. Where it's like, yeah,
exactly.
we've got maybe 3 shows that are going on tonight, maybe 1 show that's going on tonight. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna check out the show that's going on tonight.
Yeah, it's hard to do things in New York without like a direct recommendation from someone else because otherwise, like, there's just too much
Right.
going on at all times.
It's just a giant bulletin board of 80,000 events all happening at the exact same time in different parts of the city. But now, are you going to school for game design or unrelated?
Yeah, I'm currently at Champlain College for
Yes.
game design. I'm doing, like I'm doing also a lot of my own stuff on the side. Most of a good amount of the stuff that I do is not affiliated with the school.
Yeah, no, that's the thing I've been checking out a lot on like this year is, schools like the vibe between different school like game programs is so different.
Oh yeah. Champlain specifically handles things like so. I'm in a weird place because Champlain is very much like a AAA pipeline school.
Yes, okay, yeah,
And clearly that's very much not like the work that I do.
yeah,
But it's interesting the way that different schools are tackling the idea of like what a game design program is supposed to look like.
right. Yeah, we were talking about
'Cause
this a lot
Yeah.
last week with all the people from like Snack Time. A lot of them were in school at either like NYU or I think Pratt. The different New York schools.
Yeah, it's like NYU, RIT, like SCAD, and then you've got like the USC and the
Yeah. They're talking about like the sort of like rivalries sort of and differences between how USC and
Yeah.
NYU operates. And
Yeah.
like one is more pipeliney, one is more kind of like liberal arts major.
hmm
I mean,
Yeah, there's definitely.
Yeah, sorry.
I was just it's I think the difference in the way that they're treating them, like are they treating them like an art program or like are they treating them like a what's it like a trade school? Like that's
Right.
there's the kind of two balances.
Right, and it's like different experience. It's like all they have their different upsides of like, oh, I get to like really live the art school life, and that's satisfying.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
also, or it's like, oh, I get a job after this, which is
Exactly. Well, although
Yeah,
like
maybe.
the job promise currently is
yeah. Even
you
if
can't
get
promise
it,
anyone a job right now.
even if you get it, how long does it last?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got a job. Oh, the project is ended. I no longer have a job, and
Exactly. Yeah.
and games is like this truly like cursed like okay like company, like industry full of like freelancers, but treated like it's a company like field, you know?
Yeah, and we're also in the space where like we're especially in the AAA space, it's a place where you can funnel millions of dollars into a project that gets, you know, however it gets, however much it gets back, and then everyone gets fired, and
Right.
the
And it's not like there's like you just easily join up at like another production, you know?
yeah. Well,
Right.
because everyone is getting fired and everyone wants to join the other production.
Right. And it's not like people are constantly spinning up new productions. Like, it's like, what if we took like film and TV, which is already not good, and made it worse?
Yeah.
And then we invented video games.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's sad to me that the sort of like the double A studio culture is kind of fizzling because
Right.
there's like I feel like that's really kind of the sweet spot of companies that are, I don't know, anywhere from like the 20 to 100 person teams that are making games at a shorter scale. I'm not making this 120-hour content game. I'm making, a game that says what it needs to say and then gets out.
Right. And they can maybe have side projects, like
Yeah.
smaller.
Going on at the same time, and that, that kind of industry is sort of, I'm sure it'll make a comeback eventually. It's just right now it's kind of on the back foot while the big AAA studios and the sort of other side of the really small indie studios like single person devs are.
Right.
Those are the that are kind of the mainstream right now.
Right. Where you either have like $900 million or $9.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, $9 if you're lucky. You're like, whoo, what?
Yeah.
You're rolling in cash if you're an indie. I mean, the way I think about it is like the idea of like budgeted versus non-budgeted.
Yeah. I mean, look, like Indiepocalypse is the first thing that I have ever made money on with my game project.
Milo, I both love and hate to hear that.
Yeah.
Like
so
too often.
I'm well aware of the of the other side of things. Like I've the stuff that I'm making for myself is on generally more of the unmarketable side, and I learned this as I was trying to do my own stuff, is that I'm not a business person.
Yes, no.
And so it's like it's especially hard with people on that end to survive in the indie space.
No. My philosophy is I am like 1% more of a business person than everyone else is.
Yeah.
And then I stretch that 1% as far as it'll go, because I also hate doing like.
Oh yeah.
You'll probably never find me making TikTok content, because I just don't have the heart for it. There is like so much, but also I have around me piles and piles and piles of like I've been fiddling with this Go Press Girl little zine, actually up in White River Junction, so up in your neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like a small press comic publisher, because I went to Mice and I got like 1 billion mini comics, and like some not so mini comics, and it's all stuff that I think fits within like if you were to like transplant mediums, fits into the same world as something like Scribe OS and like a lot of the stuff in the stuff that I like at Indiepocalypse, but like that market culture to like financially support those artists just isn't quite there yet, I don't think.
I mean, that's the beauty of art is, and specifically the weird kind of art, is that like it's going to be really impactful to like 3 people.
Yes.
And then, everyone else is going to look at this and be like, well, I don't really know what the hell's going on over there.
But yeah, and then the beauty is those 3 people like preserve it, and it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Why so much weird, it's why like fucking Call of Cthulhu or whatever can be one of the top most popular, like we said in the first second, RPG, and like someone like Lovecraft or like perseveres, or his works rather. Sometimes you can leave the guy behind, but like people latch onto that stuff that like sticks with them and like carries it through time. But it's also hard to tell someone who needs to make rent today, oh, you'll be really impactful and like important in 10 years.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, let me just give my landlord a 10-year IOU. Of like, yeah, okay. Oh, sure, you can pay your rent in 10 years when you're like a pivotal part of the art scene.
Yeah. I can't pay rent with impact.
Yes, right. Yeah. You're not.
I said, look, can I give you this emotional experience as payment instead?
Do you see how much cultural influence I have, though? Like, look at all these works that were inspired by me. It's like, oh, I can't buy a sandwich with that. You need
Bad
money.
luck.
Huh.
Look, we'll get there. I think we'll
Yeah.
have our influence points.
Yes,
And I'll
yes.
pay off my
pay off my bills with my influence points.
yeah.
I got enough likes today that I can buy a candy bar. I can buy my Mr. Beast bar with my likes. Thank God. Yeah, a beautiful return to company script. Dreaming of it, but yeah, no, yes, but unless bleak
Yeah, I mean, like
realities
the truth
of
is,
commercialism.
like there's a reason people keep doing it,
Yeah, right.
and like despite everything, and
Yeah.
that's the point.
Yeah, and like and so much stuff like it feels weird that like I've been thinking more about how cursed like percentage based ratings have been for art.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Of the idea of, well, only 40% of people like this, but it's like you could be in that 40% and like it a lot. Like that's not like a like binary good bad kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean that's I've slowly make my way through itch games, but there's like so much content on itch
Yes, no,
that
infinite.
like
Let me tell you,
that's the
someone
problem
with
is
like,
that you have to sort it somehow.
yeah, I'm someone with like how 9,432 games on a playlist I have.
Yeah.
That goes back decades. Eventually, that list will be older than some people submitting to Indiepocalypse.
Yeah.
Like I've been compiling games compiling games longer. I probably already have been, but like, just the idea of, I mean, it's the fundamental absurdity of the idea of the Indiepocalypse in general.
Yeah.
The idea that there can be too much art in the world. But I think that comes from that gaming mentality of you need to play everything when you can never play everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I've started to accept the thing that I can, I'll start to play a game I'll play a game for 15, 20 minutes and then I won't like it and then I'll leave it and it'll be done. I don't have to finish it. Are you telling me I don't have to finish every game I get?
Yeah, no,
like,
I have been using retro achievements as like their different events is kind of like a way to encourage me to play different games. And sometimes I'll play part of a game, be completely fulfilled with it, and never play it again.
Yeah.
It's like games. They're like a very long medium.
Yeah, and I've sort of been like, I'm reaching the point where I'm getting burnt out on the huge content games, and they're like, I know I'm sure it's not only me, but I don't like replay games. I don't get anything out of replaying games. Personally, like I'm not saying that people shouldn't, but for me it's like I get what I get out of a game and it sticks with me. Some of my favorite games of all time I haven't played since I first played them.
Yeah, and there are some that I'm definitely like let me. I mean, apropos of I guess on the show in a way, I've played through that Genesis version of Shadowrun a lot. I am mildly obsessed with that game. I'm fascinated by it, and I will. Yes, I think I have a yes in the chat. We have another Genesis Shadowrunner is logged on. Maybe we'll talk about it in the group thing. But it is truly like one of my absolute favorite games. It just rocks so hard. And but yeah, aside from that, like I've played Pit of a Thousand Snakes quite a few times, but that game takes like 15 seconds. And I don't know if you can even play it anymore. It's a thing I think about every now and then. It's why I'm like, game preservation is a whole other like.
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah.
Room of a Thousand. I always call it Pit. It's Room of a Thousand Snakes, an old Arcane Kids joint.
Mm-hmm.
But like, as I can buy. I mentioned in segment 2. I could purchase with money a nice, organized, edition of like Chantal Akerman movies. Including like old student films.
Yeah.
And then, what's the name? What's the name of the bomb? That old Japanese bomb game, with the girl looks around and a bunch of bombs explode. Something Bakuhatsu. Suzuki Bakuhatsu. Like, it's like seems weird that is not like a thing like that has not been translated in English already. That is not like preserved. And games is like a field of like mountains of those games, of stuff that is that is like hardcore gaming 101 is basically just a giant pile of games. You're like, why are these not like canonically like talked about games?
Well, it's you, like, what the fuck goes into a canon of games?
Right,
like,
right.
What you.
Right, like canons are their own like tricky thing where I think they're not things to be held 100% as like law, but like as good recommendations,
Yeah.
Of like,
I mean, it's
like you fire it up. If you're into film, you may not like everything on that site sound poll, but you're like, oh, these are interesting,
Yeah.
But like I'm doing a whole segment on that similar aggregate critic developer list that GQ did for games, because it's like I think about it all the time because it doesn't have like so many things that I do think of as like, if you were making like 100 games list, it's utterly bizarre that like you don't have Yume Nikki on it, which is
I haven't actually seen this list, so I'm pulling it up.
It's fascinating.
Oh.
It's like, it's extremely like all modern commercial games primarily.
Yeah, well, this reads to me like,
I mean, number
we
one,
polled
Breath
the
of
people
the
who we
Wild.
polled and got the poll results.
Right, but it's theoretically like a critic and developer list. But
yeah,
it shows, I think there's going to be like an age, like you're going to see like the next 10 or 15 years, like a shift, I think, because aren't there like isn't one of like the regular jams on itch like an LSD Dream emulator kind of like inspired jam?
Yeah.
And also notably, LSD Dream emulator not on that list, but I feel like it is like a thing that is like this kind of like your current generation of developers is like into the cool shit,
Oh yeah, I mean that's one thing I will say about that emerges despite the sort of pipeline-ish nature of my school's curriculum, that like the people who are working alongside here are like, these are the people who are going to succeed here, are the people that care about this stuff, that are making the cool things, that are going out of their way to like see what is in the culture and build their own space within it.
Really, like absolutely.
And people are doing it. That's the thing. Like, it's happening.
I was when I was at Boston Fig. People were asking about like Titanic 2, and I asked them like, did they? I'm like, what Plunder, like, so this idea of Plunder Core, and they knew like, oh yeah, we know exactly what Plunder Core is. They're in deep on like kind of like more modern alternative like trends in like the indie space, and it is, I truly like, I feel like I joked about it a couple of years ago, but I think I live truly in the world of, you guys aren't ready for this, but your kids are gonna love it.
Yeah.
But speaking of things kids love friggin' rocks, dude. What's your favorite type of rock?
I've had so much time to think about this, and
That sounds like
And
the ramp up of somebody who's unprepared.
Yeah. And yet my answer is still. All right. I'm gonna say, and this is not my favorite rock ever all time. It's my favorite rock right now.
That's how I live my life. When people ask me for favorites, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with some nice polished marble.
Okay, another good foundational construction rock.
It's clean. You can use it as a surface. It's got the energy.
Yes.
It can be used for whatever you need it to be used for.
Now, follow up. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
This is something that I'm sure I'm gonna have some of my friends get mad at me for this, but I also don't. I have never engaged with Toho.
Well,
so.
There is infinite time to do so.
Yeah.
Get yourself a giant beer, like June himself does, and just. Well, maybe not get a giant beer before you play bullet hell games. But that's the thing I always think
the best way to play them.
Well, maybe it is that you become one with the bullets, and then you feel the patterns and become the patterns.
Yeah.
But well, thank you for joining me here. That is
thanks for having me.
The end of our segment where we've got one final indeterminate length group segment coming up now. But until then, I will see you all on the other half of 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Generally, goodbye for now. Oh no, I have to pick my right. Hello, welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Oops with, let me do this, Abe Kobe Forest. That one I can. My knowledge is there to do that, to translate that one. No kanji here, so it's all phonetics, readable phonetics. We're back here with the whole crew. Hello, whole crew.
We talking
Hello.
Abe Kobo?
Are we talking... Abe Kobo, yes, indeed, or at least a song that's named after it. Indeed, but no, we were talking, Magenta. I need to talk. I got a very, very enthusiastic fire from you in the chat when I mentioned Shadowrun. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Genesis,
love the Genesis stuff.
It is. I played the Super Nintendo one fairly recently. It is pretty good as well, but the Genesis one,
it's just got that feeling. Yeah.
Like it's using that slap bass kind of sound of the Genesis hardware to like its fullest extent.
I was trying to think. There's this other Genesis game that I played that was just like it's sort of similar vibes, but it was like first person, and you play as like this android, and you have to like upgrade. And I remember having it as a kid, and it was like relentlessly difficult and like so much RNG for where it was like a shooter game, but it was also like, I don't know, one of those cyberpunk, like, you got to upgrade your guy or whatever type of thing. I just wish I could remember the damn name of it, because one of those where you, like, have trouble as a kid and then you just, like, come through as an adult and try to crush it out.
Right. No, I've realized it was I realized in playing the Game Boy Donkey Kong recently, as part of that, aforementioned retro stuff, I was like, man, I was bad at games as a kid.
I feel like the sports equivalent of this, not that I've done this, but this is like beating your dad in basketball,
right?
As a professional basketball player who's like, nah, I've grown up and now I can beat my dad.
That's when you realize
like,
adults
Dad,
are
you're
human.
65, let's dunk.
Yeah.
You realize the vulnerability of adulthood, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, you're just a person like I am.
I just didn't understand the gameplay mechanics of Ogre Battle 64 as a child. Now, as an adult, I'm able to work through the game FAQ.
Right.
It's so funny, though, now as an adult, I have like so little tolerance for platforming games. I'm just like, either try to run if I can and fall off, or I just fall off. I just like can't play around, It's like I have kids now that are all grown up, and like they're like, "Can you please just try to play the level? Can we just finish the level?"
Well, like
I'm speaking. I think as probably the youngest person in this group, easily, and I
Whoa, hey, how
play
are you
games.
easily there, buddy?
Shots fired!
Hold on,
Shots
hold on,
fired! Wow.
hold on. Look, sorry, I'm doing a vibe pickup.
Are you maybe half as young as some of us? Maybe.
But
Who
perhaps.
But hey, that's like I said, cool with the kids, you know.
And let me tell you, this is when I play games with my dad, it's always the parkour is the stuff that gets him.
Yeah, no,
So
there was an experience I had where someone who was younger was like came up to my booth and I was like, I'm looking for games for my dad when I'm so used to like the alternative of like I'm looking for games my kid would like. He's like, I'm looking for games my dad would like. I'm like, what's your dad like? He's always like adventure games and like mystery stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. But it is like the thing.
Nice, yeah.
In our like sci-fi utopia that we will not reach, like the quandary of getting like games for your great like parental unit. Be like, my great grandfather was born in a time when this was going on, so I'm trying to find a good game for them.
Yeah, what is the version of like dad who only watches westerns in video games 30, 40 years from now?
Like dad that only plays Warcraft 1 and 2.
Yeah. Oh, my dad,
that's not 30, 40 years from now. That's already happening.
my dad just loves RTSs, you know. He just doesn't play anything else.
My dad he will not complete the level until he's like taken no losses or anything. It's like, Dad, come on, you beat that like
are we gonna have
ago.
speedrunner? Are we gonna have speedrunner grandparents now?
Yeah,
we are. Oh my God, we already have speed walking grandparents at the mall. So like,
so they're gonna do their morning mall walk, go down to the PC cafe, and be like, oh, let me just fire up. Umehara Kawasu. I want to show you kids how we do speed runs in my day.
Hopefully,
my day we never had automated.
Zelda is the best game ever made, like Zelda 1. I talked to Mom like last week, and she was like still sure of that.
Yes, my boss has like a Crash Bandicoot in her office.
Oh yeah, nice.
Like. I don't know if it's a Funko or one of those Funko adjacent things. I'm like, is that a Crash Bandicoot?
We are seeing the rise of the Crash Bandicoot manager.
Yeah, that is. Country. Crash Bandicoot will replace Betty Boop in cultural iconography.
Christ. That hit me in the face like a solid punch.
We'll take on inexplicable sex symbol status.
I think there's an explanation for
jorts.
For Crash Bandicoot sex
not
status.
Inexplicable.
It's the jorts. It's the jorts. It's
I was just gonna say, it's got those calves.
Doesn't Crash eat like weird plums?
I think
they
so.
Like vaguely?
He's vaguely problematic with his weird like. What's that mask you got there, Crash Bandicoot? You go, hey, you know.
And he's got an hourglass figure.
Crash is telling me how it's a different time. It was the early 2000s, you know. We were just doing stuff, you know. But yet, no, it is the weird thing of, you know, being a participant of the passage of time, and truly experiencing it all. But games, we talked about games briefly. Essentially, the show is essentially about video games. Theoretically, maybe if I had to categorize, it would be under podcast. iTunes gaming, or is it lifestyle? But I ask this truly important question that I need to know the answer. There's this funny little guy. He wears red and blue. He runs around. He jumps on guys. He's like, if you're playing him, sometimes there's this guy, and he's in your way, and you don't know how to get past Mario. We all know him. What's your relationship to Mario? The platonic Mario.
Are you asking?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That game.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of layers to this question.
That is the end of that question as I'm presenting it to you. Is what is your relationship to Mario?
I've always felt a little arm's length Mario growing up. I did not have a game system for a very long time. Never had a Nintendo one. And the original ones are honestly for me pretty hard.
Yeah. Well, You go run into the right, and there's that guy, and he's in your way, and
Yeah.
you're like, buddy, get out of the way. But when I touch him, he kills me. It's like, what's your deal, dude?
Man, like for me, I was a little ass kid when Mario came out, and
Yeah.
I had older cousins, and so they were always playing, right? So as the little kids, you could only get a turn, like once you like the parents, you're like, please somebody let me play, and the parents are like, make them play good game, let them play, and so you could only play when the older kids like died. And so the two of them, with their game, they had the game system. Both of the older kids could beat the entire fucking game without dying. So you would just sit there and like wait for 2 hours until they fucked up and you got to play. But then like you'd die in like 10 seconds and then you'd have to wait again. So like straight up, Mario got me like fairly competent at playing video games. Because like if I couldn't live for more than 10 minutes, I just couldn't play.
Mario.
That you were raised in the jungle.
Yeah, Mario Hell.
Mario teaching you tough love.
Yeah, you either got good or you watched the older kids play for like 4 hours.
My first real Mario experience was with the game Mario 6 Golden Coins.
Okay.
If you're familiar with that, I think it was for the Game Boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mario Land 2.
I would play that with my mom, and my mom has what was one of my OG gamers. And
Shout out to mom gamers.
shout out to mom gamers. And I feel like because I played Mario at such a young age and had such a like family approved Mario experience where it was like, okay, if my parents are encouraging me to do this, like, how could this be bad? I feel like I have to check in with Mario every couple of years and just like see how that guy's doing. What sounds is Mario making these days? How high
I heard
can
that he
you
went
jump?
missing for a while. Do you guys hear that?
Mario was missing?
Yeah, he went missing for a while. I heard that.
Oh my god.
Somewhere through time. Like, I learned a lot about like where the Eiffel Tower is.
Oh yeah, that one for the Super Nintendo.
The game
Right?
that everybody doesn't remember pretty much. Nobody liked it at the time,
That was a
Like
Blockbuster
that game.
game rental.
Yeah,
that was a game you would
Blockbuster,
rent
right
from
there. Your parents
Blockbuster.
rent that for you. They're like, hey, the newest Mario is out.
And you're like, why is Mario trying to teach you about the Arc de Triomphe? Mario, what's your fucking deal, bro?
Mario's
That was a
learning a lot
fever
about
dream of a
Italy
game.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
It
the
is.
first
Yeah.
the first Mario game that I ever can remember playing is Super Mario Galaxy.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
So and besides that, I feel like my connection to Mario games has really been more like research based.
Right.
I think my experience, like, I didn't play any of the original. By the time like I was playing the original Mario games, it was like, I'm playing the original Mario games as like for research purposes,
Yeah.
not for
You played Mario for the articles, not
Yes.
for the
Yeah.
yeah,
not for the
exactly.
sexy parts.
Mario was
Well,
not the
I-
pinnacle of gaming at the time, the old Mario.
See, I play Mario so that I can tell people I played Mario.
Right.
Got a name drop. Yeah.
That'll open a lot of doors.
That
I
is-
imagine.
Little game called Mario.
It's underground.
I do like the idea of people
No.
dropping Mario like they would, just talking obscure, like, oh yeah, no, if you like they're dropping Trump Mask replica, they're dropping Super Mario Brothers. I'm like, yeah.
Lost levels.
I mean, obviously Mario's a big influence on my art. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Mario, he's a plumber. You should get into it sometime.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of like, you see the bones of a lot of stuff within Mario, he's really influential throughout everything, just really, but it is a weirdo medium, but it is like, I wonder how much people are gonna be like, yeah, my first experience with Mario is like big bag style stuff in like Terminal 69 and like weirdo itch stuff, like Plunder Core itch stuff that he is like been reclaimed and reused in.
I think we'll get there.
It's sad to think that in the future, kids won't be able to play Paper Mario because of the endangered status of trees.
Yes.
They will have to be paperless Mario.
Oh my god, Digital Mario.
Digital Mario.
Digital emulation is not the same. I
I,
remember back when we played Paper Mario on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
yeah, PDF Mario just like does not work as well.
Yeah. EPUB or
Yeah, I'm not downloading
movie.
whatever program allows me to run EPUB Mario.
I need to get out of the Kindle ecosystem. That's a conversation for another time. But
That, I like getting out of ecosystems in. I got very excited because I want to build like a little menu for events. So when people be like, "Oh, do you have any horror games?" I don't have to try to remember 600 games, and I can have them click like a little like obsidian kind of like
Yeah,
thing.
you can
But
just do the like game show hostess gesture.
right, and then but someone got
Observe the list.
like an old like salvaged an iPad from their work. I was like, yes, and then I was like, oh right, planned obsolescence. This iPad literally runs 0 apps. Does not even run
Yeah.
Google Drive to like transfer files to it, and it's a very expensive, fancy looking paperweight that I eventually got videos on too, so it can run trailers. But it was like the kind of why does this thing not work anymore? You know, it's kind of like I think of the platonic rice cooker that I feel like a lot of people just have like 80-year-old rice cookers that it just heats up water and makes rice, and it
Yeah.
just works.
I've been looking at CRT TVs.
Yeah.
That's what they're called, right?
Yes.
Specifically the ones that are all clear and come from prisons so that people can't
Oh, yeah,
hide
yeah.
stuff in them, which is like a very dark reason for
Right.
a TV to look so cool.
It's
But-
right. A very commercial, like capitalistically cruel workaround for something.
I'm trying to not engage with that aspect and just get
Yeah.
a TV that looks cool, but also it's like, ew, yikes. Maybe I don't want a like haunted TV.
Listen, sometimes you need a prison TV because it looks cool, you know?
Yeah, it's just for the vibes of the prison of my life.
Yeah, that is. Well, fortunately, you can get one right now off of ICS Jail Supplies Incorporated.
Oh no, really?
Yes,
Did you just look this up?
a modern LED one.
I can't be buying stuff from ICS jail supplies.
No, you got to get them just get it from eBay. That is like, it's the part of like that fucking that Wallace Shawn play, you know, where he's like remembers everything comes from everything, and then eventually you forget it again. I'm paraphrasing it very poorly, but I recommend people look it
Yeah.
up. But
This is an evil website. I don't
Yes.
know. I have to get off this website. This is the most fucked up thing I've seen today.
no, I put it right, and then you realize that there's an office where people make these and import these and ship them out, and it probably looks.
And you know
like,
what?
There are like people working in these industries that think that they're doing a good job every day.
Yes.
They go
They're having
home
Christmas
and they're like,
parties.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They are having a Christmas party next week. They're okay guys, we're not our safety paper spoons. We're not shipping. We've got to ship these out before 10 because we're having our holiday party.
Yeah, we've got to take lifts to the Bolero, and I don't know. That's where I assume they're going. I assume they're going to a bowling Christmas party,
Right,
or
right.
something.
In some shelled out mall that is just nothing but trampolines and bowling alleys now, and escape rooms.
Gonna get hopefully turned into a walkable community with
Yeah.
an affordable apartment building.
That would be nice if you could just like all these giant spaces we have. You know, I mean that's also the realities of like we have all this money. If we just gave it to everyone else, we could all just live easily.
Yeah. I mean, like richest country in the world, and we have people that are poor and like in need of homes, and
Right.
It's just like it's ridiculous. It's grotesque.
Yeah, it's
We should take a page from the Mario Kingdom book. Where, our
The
good
Book of
friend Mario has solved these problems.
You just take it back, redistribute it, if you will. That concept. But anyway, the endless divergence of Indiepocalypse Radio of what if we just found a way to immediately redistribute wealth, and the unethicalness of inherently, unethical of becoming a millionaire. The idea that you got to $1 million, not that you can. Anyway.
Yeah. Do you think Mario beats up military contractors in the Mushroom Kingdom?
No.
I mean,
think,
who are the Koopas?
Let me tell you, someday there's going to be a game that does that.
Yeah. I mean, there is
That
probably
redistributes
there is
all
a
the wealth
Flash game right
automatically.
now that of a Newgrounds throwback that I saw, that is ripped from the headlines, if you will. But where is this thing? Yes. Oh, geez, this is the thing. The thing I was looking for is my little red dot and that number that is ever really creeping towards 2, which is to say we're approaching 2 hours of the show, which is about when I like to cut it off. So we're entering the wrap up. So before we non-plug related wrap ups, does anyone have any burning statements or questions that need to get out before we start to shut it down? No.
I do not.
Perfect.
We're good.
The Velvet Underground was not a yacht rock band. I misheard the question.
Yes. No.
And we'll leave it there.
No, I'm gonna clip that. I'm gonna put incendiary
Oh my god,
posts online so that people like.
I'm
Can you
ruined.
believe what Gannon said that yacht rock, the epitome of yacht rock is the Velvet Underground.
Shannon, what was the question you thought it was?
Art rock.
I thought you said art rock, ART rock, not
Yeah.
YAH.
Yeah, totally valid response to that question.
And then I was like, yeah, Michael McDonald is the best art rock artist.
No. Now, much like
No, Michael McDonald is post-hardcore.
yes, no, you're right. We could spend the next 30 hours debating musical subgenres. No, much in the same way the DIY punk ethos and Devo birth egg punk, art rock and yacht rock birth yacht rock,
Yacht rock.
of just like really obtuse music meant to be played by billionaires on their yacht. Which I guess is like, what if the Velvet Underground was super shallow, I guess? Is like the shallowest version of art rock is yacht rock.
I need to hear this. Someone's got to go into the studio with this. I got to hear the yacht rock,
Like
Velvet Underground.
right, exactly. The most shallow version of like art. Of,
It
like,
would sound like the Eagles, but like a little weird or something.
right. The Eagles, but there's like one more instrument than you were expecting. And the songs.
I'm
are just
trying to
like,
go to Yart Rock Cafe and see what that's all about.
Yeah, maybe you will find something. Maybe you will find something that should exist. But that is why I ask and try to wrap up, because we often hit these tangents. But we are ending tangents because I have things to do after this. I have to go buy eggnog and then make people go, oh, why do you buy fucking eggnog? And I go, because it's like drinking ice cream. And who wouldn't want to drink ice cream? But we're going to go down the circular style. Oh, also, a mild shout out to Max in the chat of people. I very rarely interact with the chat, but I like to shout out when I'm like, I know the people there. And there's like, hey, I know that guy. Yeah, worry that Mario is not getting radicalized. I feel like Mario is both like worse and cooler than you think he is, you know? He's like the kind of dude who's like, you're not quite sure where he lands, and he doesn't land cleanly on like the most offline man in the world, you know? Is how I think of Mario.
Yeah, he's not checking his email too often.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
Also,
Mario
hi, Max.
probably doesn't even read the newspaper very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's locked out.
He's like, he just kind of does his thing. He goes to work. He comes home. Maybe does he watch the game? Whatever. He maybe watches the game. But
Which would be Mario Strikers or Mario Baseball or Mario Kart, which he's all a participant in.
but he likes to watch on his spare time.
Yeah, he's got a busy schedule, but he still makes time.
And speaking of that, we should all make time for our eggnog or activities.
Yes, that is. We are. Mike, thank you for keeping me honest to wrapping up. Milo, people are looking for your work. Where can people find that work if you want them to find it?
I am Antennas Unite on most platforms, mainly itch.io, antennasunite.itch.io. I'm also on Blue Sky at the same
Perfect.
Find me in those places.
Yes. Yes. Magento, where can people find your work if they're looking to find it?
Um, I'm on Blue Sky, YouTube for my videos and stuff like that. I'm on Datafruits Wednesdays, 7 Pacific to 10 Pacific every week, pretty much, doing DJing and stuff like that. And then headlessbloodidol.com, download a
Yes.
bunch of our videos and stuff.
Yes, and you can get to a lot of those just straight through magentaskull.com. It's your own.
And just want to shout out my mom real quick. Love you, Mom.
Yes, shout out to moms, to mothers. Gamer moms or not. Mike Gannon, where people are looking to find your stuff, where is it?
If you want to find me, I'm on Blue Sky. It's Migdal time. To my mom as well. Just want to also shout out to my mom. And yeah, I hope everyone listening has a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm Gannon on Blue Sky, Gannon. I got it for the first time in my life. I got Gannon.
I was amazed. I'm like, when I was pulling
Oh, that too, yeah.
When I was pulling everyone's ads, I was like,
man.
what a steal.
I stood up and clapped.
Felt good. Felt really good. But follow me or not, that's fine. Check out Gutter podcast. Open up podcast, type in Gutter. You're gonna see it. We're colorful. It's that Gutter show on all, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
Blue Sky. Get out there, check it out. If you don't think it's great, then I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, no, it is a long time approved show of Indiepocalypse. Huge Gutter fan around these parts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Long time scummer, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what is the word? I always forget when people have their fan words. But anyway, gutter.show. magentaskull.com and antennas unite.itch.io. I keep wanting to call it antennas suite. There's antennas unite.
Look, it's not the worst thing I've heard.
Yes. That's where you can find them all. Mike, Magenta, Gannon, and Milo, thank you all for joining me here today. Glad to have you on the show. Treat.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you in the chat for listening. And as soon as I find where I've hidden my OBS tab, there it is. I'm going to end the show. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.